President Trump's legal team now vowing to fight back if special counsel Robert Mueller subpoenas the president as part of the Russia probe. Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani going as far as to say that the president could pardon himself if he needed to.
He probably does. I mean, he has no intention of pardoning himself, but he probably does. It doesn't say he can't. I mean, that's another really interesting constitutional argument. Can the president pardon himself?
I think it's an open question?
I used to run the pardon attorney. It would be an open question. I think it would probably get answered by, gosh, that's what the Constitution says, and if you want to change it, change it. But, yeah.
Okay, so just how broad of power does the president have? Here to weigh in is criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor David Bruno. David, good morning.
Good morning.
You know, this really begs the question, is the president above the law?
Here's how this developed, okay? There was a recent letter that was leaked by someone, and it was written in January.
To the New York Times, right.
Right. 20-page letter. One time the word pardon is used. It was really an advocacy. It was really the attorneys arguing their positions on various different points of topics of interrogation and constitutional powers and the pardon power. Is it a constitutional right that he has? Yes. Is he going to use it? No. You know, there are a lot of constitutional issues that are coming up, and this is like a civics lesson in our jurisprudence.
Well, so I want to update our viewers just so we're clear what we're talking about. So the New York Times publishes this confidential memo that was written in January from Trump's attorneys at the time to Mueller, talking about the idea of the president, whether he would or would not testify for Mueller's inquiry. There are a couple of quotes I want to bring up to you first, because I want to get your take on what this means. First off, this is from the Trump team. Every action that the president took was taken with full constitutional authority pursuant to Article 2 of the United States Constitution. As such, these actions cannot constitute obstruction, whether viewed separately or even as a totality. This sounds to me like they're saying it's in the Constitution, and maybe you agree here, David, that the president is protected.
Yeah, so this is in the context of the firing of James Comey. And also the comment that he hopes he can let it go that was made February 14th. So, yes, I do agree that he has the titles, the second Article 2 constitutional powers to make these decisions. However, there is an argument to be made that if it's for a corrupt reason, then it could be an obstruction of justice. Another issue that two sides are going to disagree on.
Okay, well, there's another quote here I want to ask you about, because it also talks about the power of the president. It says the president's prime function as chief executive ought not be hampered by requests for interview. Having him testify demeans the office of the president before the world, ensuring that the office remains sacred and above the fray of shifting political winds, and gamesmanship is of critical importance. But what about the president on Twitter? I mean, they've already used, remember the travel ban, that ended up in court. They used the president's tweets as evidence. Couldn't they use President Trump's Twitter account statements against him?
Well, again, that 20-page letter is the attorneys making their arguments. United States versus Nixon has shown that a president can be subpoenaed. Now, that wasn't an interview. That was for the tapes. It was for documents. But the Supreme Court said, yes, a president is not above the law. So the advocacy is there. The arguments are there. That's what the letter was for. But in the end, I think a subpoena will reach the president.
So Rosenstein could subpoena the president. I'm not saying he's going to, but he could. This is still a real possibility here.
Certainly, the president's attorney is taking a different position. There are legal arguments to be made both sides, and we really don't have a decision when it comes to an interview.
Wow. I'm glad we have people like you that are lawyers to help us through all of this, David. Thank you very much for the context. Really appreciate it.
You got to have a great week.
You too.